So a couple weeks ago, the company known as Anki sent me a little robot called Cozmo, and I did an unboxing video and I walked you through some of the early setup for it. I wanted to give you my review of Cozmo. Now that I've spent some time with it, I played with the robot with my daughter and my family, and I got to kind of control Cozmo in a bunch of different directions. Now, the thing that you're going to have to understand about Cozmo is that it doesn't really do anything. Well, it does. It actually has the ability, it has some artificial intelligence, so it will just kind of play by itself with the blocks that come in the box with it. But you really need to download the smartphone app, and you need to control it with the app. And basically, the way that they've set this up, and Anki is very smart, they've got a bunch of established game designers in there. They understand a lot of what's happening in sort of mobile technology today, mobile game technology. And so what the app and Cozmo the robot really engineer for you as a user and as someone that's playing with the robot is kind of a daily hook. You get the currency in the Cozmo experience by reconnecting with the robot on a regular basis. And you play these games that are set up using the smartphone, but also with the tactile interaction with the robot and the blocks that allow you to unlock more currency, that allows you to unlock new abilities and new mini games and things like that with Cozmo. And it's a really ingenious hook, and it's very, very smart the way that they're setting all of this up. They're basically sort of little shaded out little boxes that as you get the currency, you can spend it on unlocking these things, and suddenly you'll see Cozmo give you new abilities like a little fist bump, or you will unlock the ability for him to go and topple the blocks that you stack up for him, or you'll play peekaboo with him or something like that. And it's really clever. Now, one of the immediate kind of games that's set up for you is called Quick Tap, and basically what you do is you set up a couple of blocks and they light up with these different colors, and you have to tap the block quicker than Cozmo does when the colors are the same. You don't tap when it's red, otherwise it counts as a point for your opponent. And what's interesting is that at first it feels like Cozmo takes it easy on you, but it's almost like the robot learns your pace and your ability and will step it up, and it becomes tougher and tougher to beat the robot, particularly when you introduce more blocks or more players, because you can have a couple of human opponents against Cozmo. And you can also get Cozmo to stack the blocks and roll the blocks and go back and do papa wheelies. Every once in a while Cozmo will get hiccups, and it asks you to turn the robot over to kind of cure Cozmo from the hiccups. But my favorite thing that you can do with this is you can actually take control of Cozmo, and Cozmo has a little camera, and you can manipulate him like a little RC car and run around inside of your environment and tilt your camera up and down and look at your family members. And one of the great things about Cozmo is it will actually register faces, and it will greet the people in your family. It will know if you've got a pet, which is crazy. It will also, know to automatically interact with the blocks that come with it. And so you can basically sort of live vicariously through the eyes of Cozmo for a little bit and have some fun with that. And I actually was really impressed, and I keep going back to that, and it's super cool. You can also program in certain catchphrases and things like that into Cozmo's speech. You can get Cozmo to say, hello to your kid, or I love Electric Playground, which I encourage you to do. This is a really fascinating toy in that regard. The other thing that you can do here is you can also program steps. It's pretty simplistic, and it also uses the app as well. I can't get over how much technology is packed into something that costs 250 bucks Canadian, which doesn't make it a cheap or impulse purchase by any means, but this is a true artificially intelligent little robot that you actually start to engage with and have feelings for. I mean, one of the cool things about this robot is all of the animated sort of interaction that you have. They've got fantastic animation just with eyes and these kind of Wall-E-like sound effects. It's so damn cute that you can't help but fall in love with Cozmo, and that's exactly what happened with my daughter and my wife. We all start to treat this little robot like it's a pet inside of our house. Now, obviously, the promise of this little robot, this untethered little robotic creature, is in your house, and you can't just let Cozmo roam and do things on its own for a little while. That promise, that hint of this thing being this new being inside your space is amazing. You can't help but want more. My guess is that if this does well, Anki is working on the next iteration of this, and they will, improve and do more things and maybe have more articulation. I would say that one of the areas where Anki can improve Cozmo almost immediately, and obviously this is an internet-connected device, so they can add new features, and there is going to be new content added to Cozmo to extend its play value. But I would like it to be a little bit clearer with the things that it says. More than almost every time Cozmo says, "Hi, Ruby." Ruby's the name of my daughter. It's a little unintelligible. It's a little, I want it to feel like every phrase that Cozmo utters is immediately recognized by the recipient, and that's just not the case. And I think they probably wanted to cutify everything and to make it kind of its own organic kind of machine speak, but I also feel like we should make it even a titch more accessible by making it communicate in a clearer tone. And maybe that's something that Anki can improve, or maybe you can attach different types of sounds and voices to Cozmo down the road. I can't help but be blown away and amazed by this device, though. This is like a childhood dream of mine, to have a little kind of mini R2-D2. It's not a Star Wars thing, but just the idea that there's this autonomous little robot running around inside of my house that I can control in different ways. I love it. I think it's incredible, and Anki is, on fire with their cool ideas. I can't wait to see how they augment Cozmo and make this more interesting, but this blows me away. I think that if you are into robots, if you're into the idea of having some kind of programmable little droid in your house, you've got to check this thing out. Obviously, the price might be a bit of a detractor for you, but you definitely need to check out Cozmo if you're into that kind of idea. If you're a fan of R2 and Wall-E and all that stuff, go check it out. I think it's an exclusive at Best Buy in Canada. But it's been available all over the States and in different territories out there at different price points. But Anki, hot stuff. I'm going to give Cozmo 8.5 out of 10.